This is Brian from Khaki Shorts. How do you plan an international trip? I mean, it can be a little overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing and you've never done one before. So come along with me today and I'll show you the 8 steps I use to plan an international trip. This is Khaki Shorts, where we do travel, food, and just utter nonsense. Number 1. So you want to do an international trip. What's the first thing you do? Well, first thing you have to figure out where you're going. So you need to get a general sense of the area. Next year, Sarah and I are going to Tokyo. So the first thing I did was get a photo's travel guide about Tokyo and just kind of read up on the general area. I don't need specifics of every area, exactly what we're gonna do, a very rough idea. And that gives you kind of an overall sense of, is this somewhere you wanna visit? Number 2, plan your flights. So once you've kind of figured out how many days you wanna stay, it doesn't have to be specific. You don't have to have every day planned out, not even close. You just want to figure, okay, I want to go for a week, or I want to go for a week and a half, or I'm going to need 2 weeks for this probably. So try to find your flight deals, because you're going to have to plan your entire trip around when you get there and when you leave. So I did another video on using secret flying for finding great flight deals. So go watch that. That'll kind of give you a good idea of where to start and give you an idea of when during the week to fly and how long trips usually are to get the best deals. Number 3. So once you've decided where you're going, a specific country, like say you're going to Ireland, first thing you need to kind of figure out is how many days are you going to spend in each rough area. Are you going to spend all your time in Dublin? Or are you going to break it up between Dublin and Cork and the Sligo area? That's kind of your next thing. It's like, how am I going to break this trip up? That's kind of your next thing, is how am I going to break this trip up and which parts of the country or which parts of the city am I going to spend my time in? Number 4. So once you've figured out which part of the country or the city you want to visit the most, then you can work on your transportation options within the country. Are you going to need to rent a car? Are you going to need to buy bus and train tickets? Some of those things are better to be bought before you go, and some are better to buy while you're there. You might have to do a little bit of research to find out. Some places you visit, you're gonna have to have a car to get around because there's just not enough public transportation. Other places you go, like when we're going to Tokyo, there are train lines, there's subway lines, there's buses. We're not even gonna get in a car unless we have to take a taxi somewhere. So your transportation inside where you're gonna be going is your next step. Number 5, your lodging. So every night, unless you just stay up all night drinking and partying, you're gonna need somewhere to stay while you're on your trip. Even if you just stay up all night drinking and partying, you still need somewhere to put your luggage, I guess, unless you just travel really, really super light. I don't know anybody that travels that light. So you kind of have to decide, do you want to stay in a Western style hotel? Do you want to stay in something that's kind of unique to that area where you're going? Or do you want to get an Airbnb where you get sort of an apartment feel? That's going to be your next step, is finding out where you want to stay. Now for our trip to Tokyo, we actually looked at hotels, we looked at Airbnbs, and we ended up, Sarah found they have these things in Tokyo and in Japan called ryokan, R-Y-O-K-A-N, but it's pronounced ryokan. And they are like traditional Japanese houses. So they have tatami mats on the floor. You sleep on tatami mats with like, they call it a futon, which is like sort of a foam mattress. And they usually serve you breakfast and dinner. And they have like paper doors. It's a very traditional Japanese home. You kind of have to be very respectful and kind of quiet, because with paper doors, everybody can hear everything. It's usually kind of a very quiet environment. I think those are good if you just wanted to do maybe 1 or 2 nights, just kind of get a feel for it, but I don't think it's somewhere you'd want to stay for an entire week. So Sarah actually found in Ueno, which is just a little bit north of central Tokyo, a place called Edo Sakura, which is a hotel ryokan, which they're doing a lot more of these in Japan, where it's a smaller environment. Some of them only have anywhere from like 5 up to maybe 15 rooms. And some of them have Western style rooms with like twin size beds. And some of the rooms, one that we're actually gonna get is a Japanese style ryokan room. Now it has a regular door that closes. It has its own bathroom. It has its own shower and its own tub. But we are sleeping on the floor on tatami mats. So I'm gonna have to get used to that. Hopefully my old body can handle it. But we decided in the end that it would be kind of cool to do sort of a traditional thing while we were there, at least for part of the time. Number 6, kind of narrowing down more specific areas and more attractions that you want to do. I actually do a spreadsheet of each day, kind of an AM and PM, and go through, and first thing I would do is make like sort of a top 10 list. Not really 10 exactly, but your things that you really want to do while you're there. And once you found out the things that you really want to do while you're there, it will give you an idea of how to schedule those things, see how much time they take. If something's only going to take 30 minutes to an hour, then you can put it with something else in that same area. And always try to lump things together that are close to each other, like maybe only a subway stop away. That way you save time on less on transportation and more on actually doing things that you want to do. Or sometimes just walking between those two is sort of the experience itself. Number 7, hard days. Now hard days are things like if there is a specific day that has a festival, or it has a tour that they only offer once a week, or if there's an experience you want to do that they only do at certain times. Try to build your itinerary around those things because those are set. You can't just decide, oh, I'm going to move this to Sunday instead of Saturday, or move it to Wednesday instead of Thursday. You can't do that because it's a set day. So make sure those are in place, and then you can work everything else kind of around it. Number 8, start scheduling in more detail. Once you've got your hard days in there, you know where you're staying, you've got your transportation in place. So each day you can kind of start penciling in what do we want to do this morning, kind of where would we like to be when it's lunchtime, what can we do in the afternoon, where do we want to kind of roughly be where we're eating dinner, and then how to get back to our lodging at night. And this is where the kind of the rubber meets the road of doing your schedule and figuring out how much can we fit in, how much time do we want to give ourselves for each thing, and be flexible a little bit. I always build in a little bit of time, so if we get done with this early, maybe we can move up the next thing and maybe slip in something from another day if we wanted to. So you definitely have to be flexible on vacation, but I like to at least have enough scheduled to where we can at least follow that if everything's going to schedule and you get more stuff done and get more touring time in and have more experiences. So just one note on your planning, once you kind of have that out and you know where you're going to be and what you want to do, don't just focus on, we want to go see this thing. It's like if you're going to another country, it's like try to build in some experiences where you interact with people. And you're going to be doing that anyway when you go out to eat, when you go to see plays, or if you see a cultural event, you're going to be interacting with people. And not just seeing stuff in a place, but actually involving yourself in the people and the culture brings you a lot more when you go visit another country. So keep that in mind. So thanks for coming along. I hope these 8 steps have helped you at least give a rough idea of how you start planning an international trip. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to become part of our community, and check out some of these other videos on travel, food, and just utter nonsense. Thanks for coming.